So for violation of his no contact order and the harassment, Rodney gets hit with a 35-day suspension. But don't worry, it gets worse. Baerga filed a second complaint in 2022 due to some other stuff that had happened. Basically, she had gotten passed up on promotions. Another officer was getting promoted in her place, even though, according to her, she was the best candidate for it. And the explanation on why she didn't get the promotion was in conflict with what the department was saying, according to her. I'm just reading what the complaints say. You can both sides me and say, oh, well, you know, you're missing the police side of the story. You're missing Andrew Rodney's side of the story. Andrew Rodney's not going to tell me his side of the story because he doesn't have to. And I don't know why I would want to ask him. I'm good with just this side, I think. And if that's a problem for you, find another news source. I don't care. Line 25. On February 28th, 2020, plaintiff was notified that Sergeant Rodney had appealed his 35-day suspension. So I don't know if this is saying he filed to appeal the suspension or if the appeal went through and he didn't have to be suspended for any of those days, which is gross. Line 26. Plaintiff was notified by way of a subpoena issued by the department's attorney that she was to appear before the State Board of Mediation and Arbitration as a third-party witness. Here's the kicker. The date for the hearing was changed, and there was no second subpoena issued to the plaintiff. Line 27. Because plaintiff was being compelled to appear before her harasser without representation, her request to be accompanied by an attorney was denied. She began to suffer significant anxiety and emotional distress. Line 28. As a direct result of the anxiety and emotional distress that appearing without legal representation created in the plaintiff, she was unable to appear before the arbitrator on March 6, 2020, and instead had to seek medical treatment. Line 29. Despite the fact that there was a no contact order in place between the plaintiff and Sergeant Rodney, and because plaintiff provided the defendant with a valid medical reason along with a supporting doctor's note for her absence, the defendant discriminatorily and with retaliatory intent suspended plaintiff for 2 days for intentionally failing to report as a witness. 1, she didn't have legal counsel. 2, they didn't send a second subpoena for the date change. They're saying she intentionally failed to report. There was a story by NBC that came out around this time saying that the Internal Affairs published a 300-page document about the abuse that Kelly suffered from Rodney. And yet they still allowed Rodney to appeal his suspension. And then in line 20 of this document of the 22 complaint, I skipped forward, but I'm going to go back now. Line 17, June 1st, 2020, plaintiff filed further retaliation complaint with Thulani Legrere, Director of Human Resources for the City of Hartford. Following service of the above complaints, plaintiff, while attending a meeting suggested by Chief Thody, quote, on how to better her chances of promotion to the position of police sergeant, end quote, was notified by Chief Jason Thody that given the lack of time and distance in recently served discipline, she was denied the promotion to police sergeant. Line 19. Plaintiff learned in or around May 27th, 2021, that she was facing possible discipline for her September 2019 complaint of discrimination. Line 20. Plaintiff was subsequently suspended for 16 days in what can only be classified as an act of overt retaliation for opposing discrimination in the workplace. I have no idea why she was suspended. Like, I don't know what their reasoning was. I don't even know if I could FOIA that information. It's just like the most obvious retaliation against people who are just trying to protect themselves. I got no explanation for it. If there is an explanation that I find while I'm editing, I'll put it on screen right now. Basically, the department asked this woman to show up to court and face her abuser, who she had a no contact order against without her attorney with her. And then they reschedule the court date. They don't tell her about it. And then when she doesn't show up, they punish her with 2 extra days of suspension. And then her boss is like, hey, so because of that suspension, no promotion for you. You might be wondering who got that promotion instead. Sergeant Tiffany Wilson, that's who. And who is Tiffany Wilson? The woman that Paul West is suing for defamation. And it all comes back to Mr. Paul West. All right, so when Tiffany Wilson first came onto the force in or around 2016, I was a lieutenant and I did not know her. Tiffany had her field training officer, Kevin Small, call or text me. He told me that Tiffany wanted to know if it was all right to give my number to her, ? Why did you write it like that? I asked him what she wanted and he said he wasn't sure. I had something to do with schoolwork or statistics or something like that. At the time, I was a patrol commander and Tiffany asked me if I would be a mentor to her. Shortly after, I went to recruitment, so I wasn't in patrol very long with her. Line 2. When I first spoke to Tiffany Wilson, I found out during our conversation that she already knew I was attending UConn to work on my master's. She told me that she was very impressed with me at roll call. My uniform was neat, my teeth were white, and that I had a really nice voice, a nice smile, and that she loved the way I did roll call. She said because my roll calls were so informative, she wanted me to be a mentor to her. She told me that I was extremely well spoken and my roll call was different than other roll calls. What the fuck? Is he a peacock or something? Is this like a mating ritual? Is this how police show they're interested in one another? They're just like, do like officer on deck. She even told me the first day she came to the police department, she saw me walking outside and she said to herself that she had to know who I was. Line 3. When Tiffany reported for actual patrol duty, I walked in to do a roll call. She told me that she had said to herself, "That was him!" 3 exclamation points. What the She talked about my gold buttons, my gold pins on my pocket, and she talked about how impressed she was with all of the gold on my uniform. I just chalked it up to the fact that she was just impressed with rank. I think Tiffany Wilson might actually be a peacock disguised as a human. She likes hearing the noises that Paul is making and is very interested in his accessories and the amount of gold he has. So she's either like a peacock or like some kind of a pirate. This could have been like a romance anime. All right, Jesus. Line 4. Tiffany found out that I was working on my master's degree and her segue into speaking to me was statistics. I don't know why segue is capitalized. Tiffany asked me at some point about my degree and what courses I was taking. She was interested in the curriculum because she had a degree in statistics. However, that was not a degree that the city would pay you for. So she was interested in getting a different degree that would reimburse her for the 7.5%. Line 5. In my statistics class, we were given homework assignments that would prepare you for the test. You were not graded for homework. You would just turn it in before the end of the semester. You were graded on the actual exam itself. Tiffany was working in corporate as a statistician. She told me that all of her work was done on the computer. She told me that she wanted to see my work to see if she could still do it by hand. She said she wanted to challenge herself. This is line 6. She also said if there was anything that she could help me with, she would be happy to do it. I asked her if she tutored people in statistics, and she told me no, but she would be happy to help me with it if she could. Line 7. I told her that was okay, that I didn't need any help, and explained we were not graded on homework. It was just given to us as a learning tool. She said that would be better because it would be more fun and we wouldn't have to worry about grades. Tiffany probably helped me work on about 3 homework assignments. Line 8. I went to her house 2 times to talk about statistics and report writing because she was having trouble with report writing. The first time I went to her house, I asked if she needed or wanted anything, and she said no. But she was hungry and did not eat meat, so I picked her up some vegetarian Chinese food. The second time, I brought her something to eat as well. This time, she began questioning me. She asked me questions like why I haven't ever tried to kiss her. Why didn't I ever try to touch her? She told me I've never tried anything with her and that she didn't understand why. And she told me no one could resist her kisses and that her sex was amazing. If Paul Ganter from Meriden PD punches you, you get the confused status effect. If Tiffany Wilson from HPD gives you the kiss, you get the charmed status effect. And apparently Paul is immune to the charm. Line 9. Tiffany said she had issues with rejection, with men, and that she was frustrated with her family situation. 10. She told me she had a boyfriend who was a captain in the fire department, but she put him on hold when she went into the police academy because being a cop was more important than dating. She told me that now that she had met me, she didn't want to try to talk to him at all, and that she wanted to pursue me, and that we could be a power couple. I asked her how we could be a power couple when we didn't know each other, and you are a probationary officer and I am a lieutenant. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God, Kelly, you're going nuts out here. Line 11. I told her that I don't date people that I work with. I have never dated a cop, and I would not date a cop. That's fair, Paul. That's fair. I guess you got time for one cop in the family. She didn't take that discussion seriously because at some point she bought me a plant. She said this is a present for my office, and this is symbolic as to how we can grow together and be a power couple. No, God damn it, Paul. She's like not getting it. This is like so many red flags. I took the plant because I was not sure how she would react if I turned it down. Paul was like fearing for his life. He's like, yeah, I guess I'll take this ficus. Line 12. In or around January 2016, I was looking to purchase a house and I found an older brick house in Windsor. Tiffany called me and asked me what I was doing. I told her I was looking at a house in Windsor and she said that she wanted to see it. So I said, okay. Why the fuck would you say that? Why would you say that, Paul? I would under no circumstances would I tell this woman where I lived or let her help me pick out a new house to move into. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh. Why did you do that, Paul? Come on, man. So I said, okay. She owned an older house, and I thought that she could probably offer me some guidance regarding older homes. She told me a couple of days later she had plans about moving in with me and that she had already started planning it out. What the fuck? It's like, yeah, I'm looking to move houses pretty soon. Cool, so we're moving in together? What the fuck? Line 13. In or around January 29th, 2016, Tiffany asked to borrow $550 to help pay her mortgage. I gave her the money and set up a repayment plan for the following pay period. She paid me about 3 weeks later. This is such a weird thing because it's like, oh yeah, I want to move in with you. And then it's like, there's no extra line of Paul saying, no, I'm not going to do that, Tiff. That's not going to happen. It's just, I want to move in with you. Silence. And it's like, hey, can I borrow $550? And Paul says, okay. Oh my. Oh, all right. I need to sit down for this one. Line 14. She also told me she was really good at oral sex. She said her oral sex was amazing. She even called me and asked me if she should take the pill. What the fuck? I told her, quote, for what? What are you asking me for? Aren't you still talking to that captain dude? Why don't you ask him? Oh my God. What the when did this conversation happen? It's like, hey, Tiff, how you doing? Still don't want to have sex with you. Oh yeah, I'm moving into a house in Windsor. No, I don't want to move in with you. Here's $500. What the fuck happened? Line 15. She came on like an avalanche with all the romantic stuff. I told her I thought she was attractive, but that's not just what I do. The second time I went to her house, she called me after I left and told me that I hurt her by rejecting her and that she doesn't know why I rejected her, but that I was going to, quote, regret it. Oh no. All right. So we have a yandere problem, I think. This shit's making me actually sick. Line 16. When I didn't didn't respond to Tiffany's sexual advances after the second time I went to her house. That is when I started hearing rumors from a retired sergeant, Eric Smith, Officer Chris White, and possibly others that I was gay. Gay is written in bolded and italicized. So I actually have to read it like this. I started hearing rumors from a retired Sergeant Eric Smith, Officer Chris White, and possibly others that I was gay. Gay. Paul West is gay. Line 17. The last time I remember talking to Tiffany was the time she came into the lieutenant's office where I was working as the headquarters commander. Tiffany came inside of the lieutenant's office during the time that there was going to be a sergeant's test soon. I asked Tiffany if she was still interested in becoming a sergeant. She said, "I don't know what I want to do. I haven't been here long enough. Semicolon. I just want to come to work every day and make my money." That's a really good mindset for a police officer to have. That was the last time we spoke. This was in or around the end of 2016. Okay, line 18, last one. After I rejected Tiffany's sexual advances, she would show up at my recruitment office, uninvited, whether she was on duty or off, creating an uncomfortable situation for me, particularly after she began spreading the rumor that I was gay. So yeah, that's the defamation lawsuit from Paul West. All this stuff happened end of 2016, 2018, all the shit with Kelly Baerga is happening. It's actually the goofiest shit I've ever seen. I just want to say, Nutmeg News Guy officially endorses Paul West for chief of police in Hartford. How could you not love his buttons and his ability to do statistics homework? Some people think the country's going south, but it's going west. Paul West, baby, for chief of police in Hartford. He's got gold buttons. So yeah, that is what's going on the inside of Hartford Police Department. We have harassment, blatant corruption, and retaliation against the few officers who actually live inside the city they work in. It's unclear whether or not Paul West is going to be fired. It's unclear who's going to take Chief Thodey's place when he leaves in September. Next week, I will report on what's going on in the streets with the armed patrols coordinated by Cornell Lewis and Archbishop Dexter Burke. So if you're interested in that, make sure y'all subscribe, make sure y'all like the video, and I'll see y'all next week. Goodbye now.